It's like rainy, yeah, every year, out in and out. So you can't grow coffee in a hot area because you can't have a season. But for the farmers, they know this season it's going to be hot for like 2 months. So the next season it's going to be hot like for 6 months or 7 months. So they will use that opportunity to grow coffee from the 3rd month to maybe the 7th month, so that these other 2 months that are going to come in, they won't affect these 2 months that you are.
In recent years, music has become the most important art form in Iceland, and apart from the classical musicians and singers, we have very many well-known pop musicians like Björk, who the whole world has fallen in love with.
My calling was folk music. I've been a folk artist, and that is what I'm still doing. I started by being an apprentice of the late Dr. Albert Sempeke.
Welcome to the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Edio Killer on this 6th day of April 2021, when we get to discuss the investments into the creative industry in Uganda and of course all across Africa and across the world. But first, we would like to say thank you for coming out of the holidays. As far as the Easter is concerned, if you've enjoyed, well and good, and we want to observe a moment of silence of the significant person in our religious settings, Archbishop Cyprian Lwanga, who passed on on Good Friday. The jokes around is that when you die on Friday, you should resurrect like Jesus after 3 days. But of course, it's not possible. So, moment of silence right there to all our creative people who are in that space. And of course, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you to the program. On the studio, or rather on the program today and in the studio, is the one and only Faizo Chiwewa, who is the founder and the CEO of Bayimba International Festival, or Bayimba Foundation, as is well known to you. Welcome to the show, Faizo.
Thanks, Eddie.
How are you doing?
Good, good.
You had a concert over the weekend at the island. How did it go?
It went very well. That's why I'm still
sleepy.
Yeah, not sleepy. I'm just recovering.
Yes.
Recovering from the fun.
Okay.
But it was good. We had a good number of performances with a small group of fans of those artists.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big concert. Just 50 people enjoying the wild nature, doing some trekking, bird watching. We have a lot of monkeys, and then nice evening of acoustic music.
Wow.
So it was
wow.
really nice, yeah.
I surely missed that. You slotted that in without giving us a full view. I was here.
I mean, it wasn't yeah, of course it's important to keep the SOPs,
yes,
and also not to make people excited, because the more you tell people, the more everyone wants to get out, everyone wants to have fun. So we just try to keep it slow, keep it within a certain group of people. So, and you're not one of those people. Sorry.
I thought we are buddies.
We are business partners. We are business partners, not buddies yet.
Yes.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right, but welcome to the show, and to all of you guys joining us. We're live on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And today we have a long way to go, short time to get there. Faizo and I are going to be talking about investments into our creative industry. This is a topic that you need to share with as many people out there as possible. Please make sure you share this far and wide to your friends, your cousins, your sisters, your brothers who are actually in the creative industry. If you're a student of the creative arts, this is very important for you. And if you are an investor into the creative art industry, this is very important for you. And of course, it's important for all of us who are in the communication and the creative communication, and of course advertising, because without the investment to this part of the society, we are going nowhere. We pass on communication whenever there is a disease or a pandemic, endemic like what we're in right now. We use artists, we use creative art to pass on, but we tend to forget the investment to this sector or in this industry, until when something come and hits us hard is when we remember, oh, Faizo, can you please organize for me Bayimba and the artists within under that to sing about this or talk about this. And we need to be able to organize ourselves in such a manner that we have these people ready to always take care of this. And Faizo, I would like you to give us the preamble. Why do you think we need investment in this industry or in this sector?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we all know what the creative industry is. We just tend to ignore it, as a people, and also those who are responsible. And it's not only one person or one sector or one segment of a population that is responsible for the creative arts. I think the responsibility is for everyone. So why do we need to invest? When we all wake up, everyone who is watching, or everyone who is making a phone call, everyone who is on a border, whether you're in a taxi driving, listening to music, you watched Netflix last night, or you went out on Easter, even if going to church using a microphone, or those are all products of the creative industry.
Correct.
All those things have been created, thought by people, invented if they were not there, creatively developed to become useful and more important for people. So they have been part of our life. They are part of our day-to-day lives. We wear clothes, we listen to music. So we are consuming the creative content every day. But when it comes to thinking about, when the question comes, or when the topic comes up, like, oh, how much are we investing in the creative arts? And everyone starts looking on the other side, not really paying attention to the process that goes through when someone is creating a content.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the usual saying of like milking a cow
without feeding
the cow.
Yeah.
But it's we've been told, I mean, recently someone fed their goat very well and they sold it for $100,000. So I think maybe we should try out, you know, this theory. It might work. Yeah. You know, if a goat can cost $100,000,
yes.
it was presented, not proven. Yeah?
I don't know whether that goat was scientific or I don't know,
but it was presented. Maybe it was not proven. But I really think that if we really think about it, how much are we putting in this creative content that we consume every day? How much are we putting into film? Yes, someone can say, when I watch a film on Netflix, I pay a monthly fee for it. Yeah. But how much are you putting into your own local content? How much are you supportive? How much are you contributing? So this is where we really need to think, and we have to be you know, we have to also take advantage of situations. You know, like for them, I was listening to a presenter talking about Albert Stein when he was teaching, and the assistant asked him, why are you asking the same question to the students of this year, which is the same as you asked the other year? And he was like, because the answers are different. And I'm like, but it's the same question. I'm like, yeah, which means that the way you got somewhere this year, it's not the way you're going to get somewhere the other year. So it's different. So answers are always different. Approaches are always different. So when someone says, I buy music or I watch a concert, that's not the only way for the industry to grow. Yeah. There are so many other aspects that we need to do. And we have to take advantage of the digital age, the need for film, the need for music, the need for our situation we've been through, where we've consumed more creative content than ever before during this pandemic, as we've been all locked down. So we are getting out there. We need to think and see how better can we invest into this area. How many people have been employed? You know, when I look around here, just here, how many people are able to employ because of doing what we are doing right now? You know, right now there are so many people working around us that you only see the two of us, but there are so many people working around us that are to bring all this together. So just put that into, if we have 10 or 15 in every city of this kind, then how many young people are you going to be employing? So the investment is not even a question why, it is a must. We have to.
Okay, Faisal, that's really a very good perspective to that. I want to just go on to give you an offshore question. Do you think that governments all across the world, that notwithstanding the government in Uganda or government in Africa, do understand the art industry like it is understood in America, in Europe and in Asia, that this is a big sector that is bringing money, therefore we must invest in this sector?
I think they do understand, and I wouldn't be fair to sit here and say our government doesn't understand the power of the creative industry, because they also live it. You know, they know when they go to their political campaigns, they call upon all those local artists to work with them. They go to the NASA Road to make posters. They go to people in the printing to make t-shirts and capes and ballets and whatever. So they know, maybe they don't know that these are creative products at the end of the day, but I think they know the value, they know the consumption, they know the investment, they know the workforce that is behind it. I think what is really challenging is the question of priorities. I don't really think that our government and it's not only their responsibility. You know, government, we are part of the government. It's also our responsibility as a people to understand and contribute to the process of the government understanding. The government is not expected to do anything, and that's where also sometimes they go wrong, where they realize that, oh, we need to support young people, and they say, okay, we're going to give you money to run this project. That's not what the young people need.
Because it's always about giving money. But are these people ready to receive this money that we are giving? And is it possible? Is it okay for us to give money to individuals? Or it's okay to give money to a pool?
They have rent to pay, bills and stuff like that. So what can you do with 12 million? Seriously. I think it's important that we have to look at it from a global perspective, from a whole sector perspective, from a whole industry perspective, and assess and analyze where are our priorities? Where do we need to invest? Do we need to give people cash so that they go back home and spend it? Or do we need to put up structures, systemic structures that are going to be able to really do the midterm and the long-term investment that we need? So that's why I think they should.
Okay, I just want to take you through to one or two things about our discussion today. And if we are talking about investment into our industry, quite often government, like you've said, understood or rather understands the importance of, creative art industry.
Yeah.
But you're saying maybe they know, but they don't know how important it is to us, or the information has not been passed out very well. Is that a question of the artist or the creative mind not being able to go all out to give as much information as possible, so that the people who are in position of leadership can actually think of putting serious budget into development of the creative art industry?
I think the conversation, most of the time we tend to spend more time discussing what the government should and not do when it comes to these kind of investments. I think it's not the responsibility of the government alone. It's a whole 360 value chain that has to be investigated and thought and presented as a country. We have to all understand our responsibilities in this investment. For example, as an individual, I think I need to invest in myself. I can't wait for government to invest in me to be able to do my business better. I think also we have to look at other investment channels that are possible. Yes, they can be cultivated and motivated by government if the government allows them to do so, but they can also think, because one of the things I've seen, the entertainment industry here in Uganda has been very much cultivated and honored and supported by the private sector, but selectively. Not everyone. They choose who they want to work with. They choose where they want to put their money. And sometimes it's not for good reasons, but sometimes also it's not the right person, but they put their money there because they have chosen so. Whereas if they had chosen to work together, which is very hard, but possible, as a private sector, to say, okay, we want to invest in the arts. Why? Because we work with tech people. Even if Airtel, even MTN, Coca-Cola, they all have communications people. They have IT people. They have producers. They have people who make jingles and adverts for them. These are creative people. So if they want to have the next generation of better people than the one they have, they can also say, why don't we invest in the right processes of developing these human capacities of these individuals? So I think it's something that we really have to look at. Also the local people, the audiences. How much are they spending? Do they find value in going to NASA Road and going with a flash disk and taking 1,000 songs from a shop guy, rather than paying a CD on iTunes for Chameleon to get more money? That's also their responsibility. So they're not supportive because they find it easy and cheaper, instead of saying, I need to support my industry. Then, and also where the government comes in, that have you put those regulations and structures that even if someone really will feel ashamed to go to NASA Road and pick songs without paying for them.
A lot has been said about the knowledge of our people in the industry. The consumers of the creative art work are not quite very much aware of the value that these people actually put in, the effort that the artists put in to create this work that we consume. For example, an artist is going to go into the studio to record a song, but before the song is recorded, there's somebody who wrote the song. They spend sleepless nights trying to put this song together so that it makes sense. And this song must have meaning behind the words being sung or the word being said. And the tune must correlate with that. The video we are going to shoot, there has to be somebody who is planning on how the scene is going to look like, and the camera, the set, and all this stuff, so that the storyline is followed. Quite often, these people who pirate music don't understand, and therefore they reduce the value of investment into the creative art industry. How best can we make everyone understand, Faizo, from your standpoint as a man who has done it, as a man who has offered himself to do something that the creative industry had not seen before? With Bayimba, you've seen how the artists are struggling, you've spent a lot more time with them. How best can we make these people who pirate music understand so that we can create more value and need for investment in the industry?
I think the creatives themselves have to first understand. And one of the things that I learned as a programmer and a presenter in this line of work is that people sometimes don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just that people don't know that they need to pay for what they are consuming.
Yeah.
But they feel they have the right to consume it. And they would argue.
Yes.
And it's not their fault, because the people who are creating the content have also not made it clear to them that you are going to, this content has to be paid for.
Yes.
And also there are those who pirate it, of course. I've also watched some pirated movies, and you'd be like, how much? What?
I mean, we have consumed the pirated movies in Uganda.
You don't think about it. You enjoy the movie and be like, it was a good one, or I didn't like it, or whatever it is. But you've not thought about, have you really, really paid for this value that you have
thought about the value?
So I think it's sometimes a process that we all have to understand and say, okay, as an artist, what measures do I put into musicians? Or there are certain things that are difficult to pirate, except if you're going to just download a movie. But like theater, it's really difficult to pirate theater. How do you?
Maybe you can go in your phone and record it.
That's different. You can say, okay, I'll record it, and then I'll say, and that's why in Europe and the East, most people, when it comes to productions, live productions, your phones are never allowed. You cannot even see anyone's phone up. But here you find someone is watching, they record the whole show, and then they go back and upload it on their YouTube channels and stuff like that. That is not right. You can, just as a human, and also with respect of the artist. Of course, on the other hand, there are those who want to promote their work. Like, record as much as you can, make it viral. This is what I hear these days. I'm not on social media, but when I see people, I'm not going to start this conversation before I see 5,000 people, and I'm like watching live, and I'm like, what is he talking about? But that's where people, so there are those who want to promote themselves. They don't mind their artwork or content being pirated. And there are those who want to protect their integrity and their work, their royalties and their copyright, and they want to protect their work, but they have to know how. And that's where we need some bit of education, a bit of understanding, a bit of research, and sharing, working together with everyone involved to make sure that we don't continue to lose our work.
Okay, Faizo, all it right there. We are talking about creative industry investment, or investment in the creative industry in Uganda, and why we need the investment in the creative art industry in Uganda, the importance of it. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faizo will go through to question number 2. Given our context, what can we do? What kind of investment are we looking at? Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break. Enjoy the nostalgia, the memory of Ngoni music.
Hi, my name is Chila.
This is Red Rat from Borderman. So this is your boy Salvador, the only Westerner from West 9.
Susan Caronan. Donna Michelle coming all the way from Canada.
Road Freddy Sebata. Kaskazozi, and here at the Bayimba. Bayimba. Was 2011. And you're glued to Double XL.
Double XL.
Double XL.
XXL.
XXL.
XXL. XXL. Season 2.
Era Wendy, atenchali wonyo. Booyah!
ezadisi temuli kalungi mama nyabo botabawo mama dia botabawo mbango mulwadde talina ddagala botabawo kibanga kyeyo nga sirina mpapula botabawo numwango omulaalo gwe banyaze ente bwe botabawo olunaku luba lusaze nze bwe botabawo nsirana ntunula bugululu bwe botabawo mbanga gavumenti yetalina kalulu bwe botabawo omukwano nze mbeera nyenderera bwe botabawo nga nebyenkola byonna bituuna malayika obanange nemirembe malayika otabawo malayika wange obanange wenfuna emirembe kiraba kiri ekiritwawula amazima sikiraba.
Welcome back from that break. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is the Creative Industry Talk, where we get to discuss matters of the industry and matters to do with the creative art industry in Uganda. Uganda has a lot of talent. Great talent is produced out of Uganda. Are we taking advantage of this? Are we exporting this talent to the world? Are we selling this talent to earn us money to develop our country? Do we expose this talent enough? Do we need investment in this area? Yes, I think we do. And that's a discussion today. We're talking about investment in the creative art industry. And of course, I'd like to welcome Faizo back on the show. Faizo, thank you very much. Before we went for a break, you had answered the question of why do we need investment in the creative art industry? I want to take you to the second question. And the second question would be, given our context, like you have already painted, and which areas of investments are or should we, prioritize as a country, that if you speak to those who are in authority, it will make more sense to them, now that you've given the reason why they should invest. And then also, which areas of development can private sector players come in to play? And are there any areas? Take, for example, the Ngoni song, which has just been played. They invested a lot of money into developing music. And just before we went for a break, you were telling us how we are very fond of copying music from artists, not thinking very much about how much the time an artist has spent or the group of people behind that artist has spent to put money. And all of these people have to earn. Ngoni is a typical case. They were playing very great music, good music, great investment, and they were not being appreciated. They just went out and they found themselves stuck in a lot of financial burden because we're not appreciating. Now, as you talk through this question number 2, what lessons can we learn from these artists who have gone out, and how can we help better the new generation coming?
Yeah, I think, okay, when we talk about, given our context, of course, every country is different. We look at ourselves, how much do we contribute globally to the, as a country or as an industry towards the global economy. But also, I think we have also to look at how much we contribute locally within our own national socio-economic, change. And when you look at that, then you can start understanding which areas are doing well, where do we need to put more investment, where do we need to add more effort, where do we need to regulate more or relax a bit, because the way for me, I think the way things work, there's nothing stagnant, even if it comes to policy or regulation or investment or whatever. Correct. You really have to keep going back and forth every 5 years or 3 years. You really evaluate, review, and then think of a different approach. That's how you get more interesting things. I like to work towards something more challenging than just doing the same thing that I do every day. So I think this is also where we need to look at where we are as Ugandans and as a creative industry in Uganda. I'm not going to go into the numbers, how much Uganda contributes to the national GDP given to the creative economy reports, but I'm also looking at the simple things like what do we do on a daily basis, and look at how much do we contribute to the day-to-day operations of every area. At my office, how many people are working there? Here, how many people are working here? Those are all jobs. And then when you look at but those people, do they come to this industry to serve it with the best knowledge possible? Do they come with do they just come with passion? And then they have to learn on the job. So the investment in human capital is very, very significant. Investing in the people that are doing the work that we want them to do, even if it's just creative designers. And that investment has to be both individual, as I said earlier, as a person, you really have to invest in yourself. And it might be difficult to say, okay, I want to learn how to make film like they do it in Hollywood, and there's no school for music. Of course, that's also another issue. That's where we get into the second area where we need to do deeper investments as a sector, as government and other institutional private sector, as we talked about the private public partnerships, and see where can we add more training facilities to educate new entrepreneurs, to show them how to market their work. I mean, talking about the Ngoni case, I mean, it's not only that the music failed to cut through, or not maybe cutting through, the business did not succeed because of all these financial burdens, but maybe there were also other factors that played
surrounding it that did not allow it
maybe
to
there was not
a
good marketing team. You find some other businesses thriving, and of course they might have had to pull some strings, but at least they found their way. We are in a country where things don't go just black and white. You really have to navigate, to be smart, to be resilient, to be strong, to be thoughtful and creative enough to manage to survive in this economy. So for me, I think first we need to invest in human capital at an individual level, and then at a general national, local level. Government, private initiatives have to think around creative training places. How do we develop the capacities of young people that are into the creative business? And I think the second thing is also the regulatory frameworks. When it comes to policies, when it comes to the environment that people are working in, it's not conducive. And I'm talking about the context in Uganda. The environment is not conducive. You find that yes, we've been in lockdown and we all respect and want to keep everyone safe. But you cannot keep one industry locked and then you open the other.
Actually, on that note, I saw Moses Serugo posting a very sad picture of him at the National Theatre, saying after months of not being in the creative art industry, I come to National Theatre and it's gloom and doom. I missed what we used to do here. And it was a bit sad that some sector, like you've said, are still closed and others are still open. Is it a question of not knowing the value of all of them?
I don't think it's so. I think it's planning. I mean, it's also for me one of my frustrations. I don't normally get frustrated. But one of my
but it's okay to be frustrated. It's a fact of a human being.
But what I find very fascinating with folks, the peers that we work with at all levels, the government, is this ignoring things. I would say not knowing. They know, but they're just ignoring it. For example, if you want to help or to put forward a sector, it's not so difficult to have a conversation on what is best. I think there's nothing impossible. We've done great things. We've managed to break through bridges. We've managed to break through walls and barriers. So this is not so difficult. It's not rocket science to say National Theatre seats 372 people, full capacity. If you say everyone is going to sit one chair after the other, you can sit maybe 115 people.
And there will be still people making a living out of that.
If an artist or a theatre group or a fashion designer or a filmmaker or has this 150 people or 115 people a month or a year, or everyone gets a chance to have an audience, then they can survive on that. They will be observing the SOPs, they will be making sure that they're presenting work and they're really helping. Because look at how many people Batvai was like hosting as a team, the core team of the theatre groups that were performing at Batvai, Bakaimbira, Afritavent, these young filmmakers, the John Segawas, all those, they are hundreds and hundreds. The technical team, the actors and actresses, they're all out of work.
We're actually talking about 1,000 of people living and hanging from that space. Yes.
Batvai seats, I don't know, more than 1,000 people. And it's open. It's not like, okay, we want to observe, you can open the doors. It's an open space. It can be open, though there will be fresh air. You can have half of that population. These groups will perform, will survive. So I think it's also looking at where are we and where do we need to help people to survive, to keep the industry alive. And when it comes to those investments like reforms, and when we talk about infrastructure, we don't only talk about infrastructure, but also structures where people can get systematic support, and not only financial, but also, from policies and all these other things. So there has to be somewhere where people are there to get the first-hand help when it comes to the creative industry. And then the other thing is really investing in educational platforms.
Part of the creative industry.
We need to learn. We need to keep ourselves updated. We need to keep ourselves up to speed. We need to level with the rest of the world. We need to find our content streaming. How fast is the internet? How easy is it to access? How cheap is it to have? All these things are contributing. So within our context, we really need to look at these three things: infrastructure, reforms, and human capital.
Yes. Faizo, I know you talk very passionately about this infrastructure development and investment. Would you just throw more light? What kind of infrastructure are we looking at here? When we say educational, to further the knowledge of the creative minds of the creative artists, what kind of investment are we looking for? Because we have certain schools here, like Uganda Film School. I think we have Kampala University doing the film school, with many of the kids have come out. The new kids on the blocks have come out from there. Kudos, by the way, those people. And we have Makerere, Margaret Thatcher. Yes.
That's for the visual art.
Yes, visual art, yes. And do we have any other performance art centers that we can look at? Are you looking at private or government?
Not
still?
Both. I think government plays its role. Of course, there are those institutional structures that government has put up at all universities. Some universities are private; they have their courses. But also, we have to look at private. And again, I say we don't have to look at government all the time to do us the favors. We can also do some of the things. The market is there. We have almost 80% of the young population. And they're getting more. They might get to 90s till by the time we are out of COVID, because the old people will be decreasing. Sorry, I mean it's happening.
Yeah.
But where are all these people going to learn the skills? And we've seen that Africa is becoming the next big deal when it comes to the global economy. When the young people in Africa by 2050, we are going to be more than 500 million or 5 billion or whatever on the continent. All these people will need to consume content. They will need to be fed. They will need to have entertainment and clothing. And I mean, when we talk about creative, we aren't only talking about music and film, but also fashion, visual arts, paintings. We're talking about software development. We're talking about new inventions. We're talking about systems and spaces to work in. These are all for creative works. So there is a need for more training facilities. The education options now are not very many. You have to really struggle, and then struggling also because of the belief that art is not very relevant, but you have to struggle because also the schools are not enough to feed into or to take everyone that is needed. So we really have to think infrastructure, schools, education facilities, education programs. The reason why Kampala Film School has been successful the past 4 years because it had a good management team, and we'll try to shift around the teaching of the young people and put programs that were helping the young filmmakers, students who are there, to learn new skills, not only just holding a camera. But and I hope the new manager who is there now, my friend Kalundi, will also be doing the same to strengthen that approach, that the other colleague, the previous colleague put up. So it's not only having institutions, but what are they offering in terms of content, in terms of training, in terms of exposure, in terms of other options. And when you talk about creative processes, someone will tell you, oh, film, they only show you how to switch on and off the camera. They show you how to balance the color, and but then they don't give you the whole process of writing and access and all information and how do you make money, so there is
so basically the holistic business approach to this whole thing to be successful.
It has to be part of the learning, or at least offered somewhere next to it. So I think it's not only just building, having names or having walls, but also what is shared and presented and given or taught within those walls is also very, very important. And that comes back to who is making the investment, who is interested, how is it regulated, how is it possible, where can one go, how can they learn, how can they be motivated? Because there's also that issue of people being motivated. Why should I start an art school when everyone thinks art is not good?
Interestingly, Faizo, just before we go for our third break, of course our time is running fast. Interestingly, we'll have to come back after the break and talk about this whole notion of that the art is not very lucrative as a business, but the whole of the world, the universe, depend on art. I mean, you go to the buildings we live in, is actually art. I mean, the medical that we use for illustration is art. If you look at all of this, really art is a very big industry. It's part of our life, is essential. I think it's just been a question of less is understood about the art industry and the creative industry. Because if you look at all these spheres and all the spheres of life, art is at the core of it. And it fits in the house we live in, the car we drive, the clothes we wear, the schools we go to, the design of the courses we have to, whether it's science, it's art behind it. Yes, so we are talking about investment in the creative art industry with Faizo Chiwewa, the founder and the CEO of Bayimba Foundation. And of course, we would like to know what your comments are. Send your kisses and disses to Faizo. Faizo is here to answer a couple of your questions if you have any. And this discussion is very key to all of us. We're taking a break for a coffee break, and when we come back, Faizo will be answering the question number 3 as we close the show, which is who is responsible for whatever investment that we're talking about in the art industry, and how can you as a private player actually be part of this investment. But also, is art really understood all across the globe, that the art or the creative mind controls many things that we are happy about in life? So right there, we'll be right back after the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk.
We play 2 styles. We play reggae vibes, and we also have our own music style, which we call boot jazz. It's a mix of African rhythm and jazz.
You speaking English cause I just want to understand the same. Speaking my language so that I understand it. I went to school and I learned everything in English. It was so difficult for me to understand, wasn't my language. Oh, mama told me my son better go to school for a better future.
So what's your experience in the 2011 Bayimba concert?
Wow, frankly, I have to say this is one of the best events that as a Malawian band has joined and has also participated. We have international festivals, yes, but this one is one of the best in this year, 2011.
It's a fantastic festival because this time around it's got more artists of different genres, and also like for example having Sebata here after I've just played like blues and funk and that kind of thing, and there's hip hop, there's a whole hip hop stage this time around, and mixed wild music, it's a whole mixing pot. and also with the other arts that are going on. You know, the stalls around.
And to all you ladies out there, Neon Goche, listen.
Pretty lady, don't you worry, I'm coming home to be with you. Sweetie baby, don't you worry, I wanna be close to you. Dunia kanipiga chenga mpenzi, nimeondoka sasa ni siku mingi, sijarudi. Naomba usikate tamaa, nisubiri, niko jua kali na saka, nitarudi. Niongoje, my lady, nitarudi. I'm coming home, niongoje, kama waweka, nitarudi nyumbani. Niongoje, mami dudeo, nitarudi. Naye kama wao, niongoje jamani, yeah, nitarudi nyumbani. Najua unanikosa mpenzi, vumilia, nitarudi tena nyumbani mimi. Kila nikiwa kazini yamini, na kuhitaji uwe karibu na mimi mami. Tupendane mbele. Niongoje, nitarudi. Kabla magambe. Niongoje, oh yeah, nitarudi nyumbani. I'm coming home. Nitarudi. Oh yeah, niongoje jamani. Come on. Nitarudi nyumbani. Usikate tamaa, nitarudi tena. Usikate tamaa, niongoje. Usikate tamaa, nitarudi tena. Usikate tamaa, niongoje. My baby, nitarudi. I'm coming home. Kama wao, nitarudi. Kama wao, kama wao, niongoje, nitarudi nyumbani. Niongoje jamani, nitarudi nyumbani. Niongoje jamani, nitarudi nyumbani. Niongoje jamani, nitarudi nyumbani. Niongoje jamani, nitarudi nyumbani.
Double XL,
XXL.
XXL,
XXL. XXL. Season 2.
era wendi ate nkyaliwo nnyo.
Booyah!
Why do we need investment in the creative art industry? If you've been following the conversation, Faisal talked about it, that everything rises and falls on art and creativity. If we don't have creativity, our economy cannot, because we can't sell, because we can't package, and that we cannot also come up with good products if our creative industry is weak, because products that are not packaged cannot be sold anywhere in the world because people will not have a lot more information. So communication for that product is very key, and that's reason number one why we need to invest into our creative art industry. And we've talked about, given our context, which areas of investment and who should invest and when and how. Faiz have tackled that as well. We're now going to our question number 3 that actually ends the show today, which is the question of who is responsible for the investment, Faizo, in our...
Yeah.
When we're talking about investment, who do you think should be responsible for the investment?
I think we are all responsible.
Yeah.
And but we have to first understand, why are we all responsible? I was talking with a friend of mine, Bjorn, this morning, and he was telling me, you know, Africa is the New East. And that means that there's a lot of interest in this continent, the creative content. And when we look around and you see, of course, the government takes the first part because they set the pace. And they set the pace for everyone, the individuals, the practitioners, the private sector. So we need to first look at government. What priorities when it comes to the creative industry has government put in place, or thinking, or should put in place?
Yeah.
I think the government needs to play a role here in not only just putting policies, but also making sure that they are implemented, because we have very good cultural policy, and it's still it struggles to be even understood by the people who are responsible for implementing it.
Yeah.
So the government's responsibility is very, very clear, and that's at all levels, you know, at all levels of national, regional, within our own East, West, South, Uganda, but also the local governments. Local governments also have to stand. We're having a conversation with Jennifer before she left office, and we're like, why isn't the Kampala Capital City Authority structure, plans and regulations involve at least a 10% or 1% or 3% inclusion of art within every building? All these big buildings that are popping up, they should have at least some public art somewhere included in the design, because that gives some new life to the city, but as well as employing a certain generation or a group of people who are doing that kind of work. So regulatories from local authorities to government is very, very important, and they should be guiding us in terms of where do we need to invest, how should we invest, whom should we invest in. So this is one. Then we have the practitioners, you and I, you know, we who are doing this work. We are investing already. You have invested a lot in this whole setup, and we have invested a lot in as Baimba, and we need to continue investing, because the need is there, the opportunities to support more people are there, and then we have also the private sector. The private sector needs to think, as we talked earlier on, they need also to think where is going to come from the next generation of creative designers, creative entrepreneurs that are going to help their businesses survive. Because sometimes they think learning marketing at Harvard is the only thing you need to run Coca-Cola. No, you need a whole creative team, scientists, inventors, and whatever. And the new, the new creative workforce needs to be thought through. How can private sector also support strategically, not just supporting one of those that they like, you know, and also thinking, because for me here it could also be interesting if the government had put up some sort of like a regulatory framework or an assisting structure whereby private sector could be cultivated to come up with a basket pool of funds and say, okay, Coca-Cola, give us 20 million a year, Pepsi, give us 10, MTN, give us 50. And then at the end of the year, you have 100 million that a pool is there that is going to go into supporting creative processes. So this could be something that they could think of. And then also, the last, we have the audiences, being mindful. The consumers are very
output of the creative art industry.
They are very, very fundamental into this whole process, whereby they also have to think how much are they contributing, how are they supportive of the content that they consume, and how are they also helping in this fight of protecting the content of the artist so that it's not pirated every day.
Okay, fine. So we have our time is fast spent, but we have a typical example here, and I think that I'll take a moment to read you some of the questions that have come here. First of all, I'd like to appreciate people like Esther Semakola Nab, who is watching. Thank you very much, Esther, for that. And Murai Murugand, who is also watching. Thank you very much, guys. And somebody said, this is really a very interesting topic, and I think we need to have a lot more conversation about the creative art industry. You look at the way our things are packaged in Uganda. Sometimes the product is good, but the packaging of the product drives people away from that, which is what you're talking about. Yeah. Faisal, let's tackle very briefly the idea of packaging. We're talking about the investment in the industry. NASA Road, for example, has invested heavily in these things. And while they're also accused of being the biggest pirates of some of the content that are produced by the creative art industry, the production of things that come from there and the branding and the packaging is quite not understood by many. How can we help those who are producing product to understand that, one, if you have a product called coffee or X, needs to be communicated about, and that communication comes from the person who writes the copy of that, product, the information, product information put together in not a very boring way. That comes from an artist, right? And the packaging is designed by somebody who sit down, think through the process and come with it. For example, this cup here that we're having on a show, by the way, I need to serve you some coffee, comes from the product of an artist. And if this cup is plain, this person, it's not going to make sense to me, but I look at this creative art industry and I'm drinking coffee. I feel creative enough and I feel happy enough. How can we help the people who don't understand this to understand better?
I think when we take the example of NASA Road, first of all, you look at how many people work at NASA Road. You find everyone has, even if it's just a desk, they are there, they are struggling. They're
putting their books together,
they're only selling pens and stuff like but what is the problem with NASA Road? I don't think they have a problem. I think they are supportive of a very huge economy. I can tell you there are so many people who can't afford to go to print their stuff at Nakasero or Kisementi here, but they can only afford, because they need to move to a next step, and they can only afford to go to NASA. And what I look at NASA is that it's not that they are not good or they are pirating, but it's also the way they are regulated. I don't think there's any regulation around what the work they are doing, because if there was, then they could also be doing better, because they could have time, they could have a nice infrastructure. You look at that whole place, it's like one long building where everyone needs to find a table, a space, and then everything else is done, by others behind that wall. So I think it's also the way, if I was a city planner and I'm like, I'm looking at NASA Road, I would be thinking, how do I help these people? First of all, to have more space, because it's not healthy the way they work. They are sitting next to each, they are printing all the color, the chemicals,
where everything is just
so you might find, if they do a cancer research at NASA Road, you find that many people are getting healthy problems because of all that printing, but because they are not regulated, they are not given an opportunity. No one is thinking about them, but they also blame them.
But the amount of taxes we collect from them is great.
So that's what I'm saying, that they contribute a lot to the economy. And I can also tell you, like, how much money do I pay at Bayimba for every month on taxes? Up to almost like 6 million if you put all the taxes together. So if we had at least maybe 6-7 Bayimbas in every city, in Gulu, in North, in how much money would be coming in? So we need to start thinking of, like, how do we, because for me, what I find with the regulatory frameworks is they always looking out for, I don't know, like, how do they call it?
We come at the tail end of...
no, they always want to control you. They don't want to help you, but then they want to earn from you. And I think it's really wrong. Either they want to shut you down, but they put all these things without thinking, what do you need? What do you go through as a person? What does someone at NASA Road go through to earn a living and still pay those taxes? And then you find him on the road and you kick him off because you have an escort car. So this thought is really, and people are working their health off, and then they are paying all these taxes because there is no excuse to pay those taxes. But you're not investing in them. There's no way they can grow.
There's been a huge debate about whenever a sector begins to blossom and to start to make money and to see, we look at them from in terms of money, taxes. And then everyone is always asking, but what are we doing to help these young people? What are we doing to help these people? Have we invested money in this area to allow these people to reap, for us to reap from here or to further their development from there? I want you to close with that. How can we better make the authority, for the people in position of leadership, understand that it's important before you milk a cow, you need to feed that cow?
It's very simple. Whatever regulation they put up, they should look at it like how much are they adding into the value of that person. If you're asking me for $50, as a tax addition to my whatever work I'm presenting, or URA, whatever it is, how much are you putting into my work? How much are you helping my area? Because you cannot say you're taxing the creative industries each year in and out, and you don't have any plan to develop that industry.
Any budget of investment.
But you need your money and you get it.
Yeah.
But you say, okay, by our priorities are roads, but where does the money come from? Where does that money come from? I think it's important, even if just say, URA, just say, out of the money we create from disco shows, radio stations and whatever, all the taxes we pay from NGOs, organizations and concerts, let's put 10% of that money back into that industry. You will see a difference. It will be a very big difference, and strategically, carefully invest that money in the needs that will make you more money. If we have more organizations like Bayimba, if we have more concert halls, if we have more theater groups, if we have more DJs and producers and filmmakers and fashion designers, all that will increase our tax base. It's very simple mathematics. So they have to think, as they are milking the industry, how much are they investing into it? Otherwise, we are going to run dry, and many of us, we've been hit by COVID. There are many people who are so broke, yet the taxes don't stop. You have to pay them every month. So how are they going to survive if they're not being supported? If they're not given a conducive environment? If no one is thinking about them and making sure that they are also thought for as part of this economy? So as you asked, I think the closing for me would be like, yes, the government has to do its job. We have to do our job. We do our job, actually. We have to do our job more. And also, the private sector needs to do their job. They need to start thinking, if we need the next better billboard, and for me, I saw a Tusker Light billboard when I was coming here at Acacia. And I looked at the face I've seen it many times, but I was thinking, this is not a Ugandan face. Why is the Tusker Light advert billboard in Kampala done by a South African?
And they focus locally here, and
why doesn't UBL invest in creative people here so that they have to do those Tusker billboards for them?
Maybe the creative people here are the one going for the new
but what are they? What are they contributing to change that narrative? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Do they think, do you think that me seeing a billboard of Messi or Ronaldo, who are these footballers,
would drive me very much?
Exactly. Well, I'll be excited. There are people here. There are Eddie, there's Chameleon, there is Bebe Cool, there is Kenneth Mugabe. There are all these great artists whom the country needs to know, because all those famous sports people you put, they are already known. They have all the money.
We don't have
you need to uplift
on as a
exactly.
You
need to uplift your own people. You need to uplift your own industry and invest in it. So you cannot earn from what you don't invest in. So they need to start thinking, as private sector, what contribution are they making? It's not only supporting a concert at Cricket Oval and then you think, oh, we are putting it in a lot of money, 100 million. You know what you can do with 100 million? If you put it in a very structured way and put it into an industry that is going, you can do a lot.
And so give you a lot more reward as well.
We have to think along together, have an holistic view on how the industry is running, and see what others have done. There's a lot of research that we can benchmark on. So I think it's not really about one industry, one sector, one government. No, we all as a people need to be thoughtful of how we invest in this creative industry.
Well, we have come to the end of the show right there. You've heard it from Faisal. We're talking about how to invest into our creative art industry, and investment in the creative art industry is very important. It will help us improve the quality of packaging of our product going outside. It will help us to have product identity which are quite very clear, so that you know, our neighbors don't buy our products and go and rebrand it and give it their own cool name, because the quality of the product is good, but the communication around the product is not very good. And so this is something very important. We've been talking about the creative art industry in Uganda and in investment. If you've heard it from Faisal, unfortunately, we've got to bring the show to a close. Until next week, we will be able to show you. By the way, before we go, Faisal, what are we talking about next week? Somebody's asking, can we talk about the packaging and identity of our products going forward, and how the creative minds play a big role? What do you want us to talk about next week?
I don't know. I think I was, yeah, we can. I mean, we can talk about that. Let's try to think and formulate it, and then we can communicate to them later.
Yes. All right. Good. So we've come to the end of the show. This has been the Creative Industry Talk, talking about investment in the creative art industry, private sector, government. Every one of us, consumers of the creative art products, needs to come together and think and put together a way forward that is beneficial to everyone. We've answered you, asked you 3 questions. If you want to follow the discussion, of course, online, and you can continue to send us your kisses and this is coming. Why do we need investment in the creative art industry? That's a question number 1 that Faisal answered. And question number 2 was about, given our context, which area of investment are or should we prioritize as the people of Uganda? And of course, number 3, who is responsible for our investment going forward? Until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Edio Killer, Faisal Chiwewa, and founder of Baimba. We will be back next week. Keep it the Creative Art Industry Talk.
Hi, my name is Chila.
This is Red Rat from Bodyman. So
this is your boy Salvador, the only Westerner from West 9.
Susan Caronan. Donna Michelle coming all the way from Canada.
And here at the Baimba. Was it 2011? Blue to double XL.
Double XL.
To double XL.
Been disappearing while he's here on the Family Talk Show, but today he decides to go out and do an assessment of the cows and how much milk they produce. So he's out there in Barara, the land of milk and honey, trying to do an assessment. But we are here. The Family Talk Show is here. My name is Hassan, and the pastor, the big pastor, is also here. So it's going to be the two of us talking family, 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 family. And this week, the topic is something that you have really been looking out for and asking us about it. We are going to be talking, what is the difference between leading a family and heading a family? That's the discussion here. And then by the end of the show, we expect that you could have picked something out of it and the best practice that will take you forward with your family value systems. Pastor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Hassan. I think it's right for me to say Happy New Year.
Why? Why Happy New Year?
I'm not sure whether we've met this year.
We have met online.
We've met online, yes. You used to do chicken. I don't know whether you still do chicken.
Yes.
Because now that you said who has gone to milk cows, which I don't know whether he's going to milk, but all I know, he went to strengthen his family, because it's one thing to talk about family, and it's another thing to practice what we're talking about. Yes, husbands, you need long time with your wives. I know sometimes men get married, then they spend more time outside than with their wives. So I'm glad. Salute to you, Eddie, and your queen Joyce. I'm sure she's making you happy and getting some good units there. But I know one of the things that Eddie keeps saying, yes, we are live on HTV, not HTV, on YouTube, live on?
Yes, on Facebook. Yes.
All right. If you don't find us there, you know. He went with the line.
No, we are streaming live on Facebook, House of Talent Uganda on Facebook, and on YouTube, House of Talent Uganda. You can also find us on Twitter at HTV1 on Twitter, HTV1 Uganda on Twitter. This is the Family Talk Show. Pastor, how was the week?
The week brings me to one of the points I wanted to say is we are sad that a powerful leader or head of state, and maybe that will run into our
I don't want to say head of state.
Yes, John Pombe Magufuli. He had a powerful name of Pombe, which definitely excited the Tanzanians. But we want to extend our condolences to our families, especially in Tanzania. We do extend our sorry about the loss of your dear leader, who definitely has set a challenge for all our leaders here, also a challenge for us. Because one of the questions I ask myself is, if I happen to go to heaven, will my family cry real tears or these professional tears, which they are supposed to, or they will be excited and say, it's gone, let life begin.
Celebrations.
So if you ask me how my week was, it's been a week of contemplation. Also following on the discussion that has been happening. Am I a family head? Am I a family leader?
So lots of things to think about. My week was, of course, sad. I just tweeted one word, Pombe. That's all I tweeted. Because for me, like you said, that was the powerful icon. Pombe, just the word Pombe. That's what I tweeted. And on Wednesday, when he was laid to rest, it was a sad moment for me. I just don't know why, but I felt very low that day. Of course, reading a lot of literature of the things he has been able to do in such a short time. Then I started to say we need to redefine leadership. For me, that's what comes to my mind. We need to redefine leadership. But also, as the week ended, the news that the Traffic and Road Safety Act is going to be revised to include an old tax. They're bringing back an old tax called road license. And I kept wondering, okay, one of the reasons why the tax was removed is because they wanted more indirect taxes on fuel. That they would make more money on fuel. Now they're bringing back the same old tax. So will the fuel tax go away?
No. It won't go away, and the fuel tax will continue. While they said tax whoever is driving, of course there are other units of people that we are going to benefit from, those who are using generators and the rest. And now that electricity is running, so less fuel I think is going, so we need to go back to, and our roads are dying. And you see, you guys have been saying the roads in Tanzania are well paved, the ones in Kivuli are not paved. So why aren't they paved? We stopped paying taxes for fixing the roads. But I think we should be working on making more money.
For me, it's going to be a big debate on especially double taxation on the same unit.
But, those debates, are they debates? to me, what I really want, is the president to sign out the bill on parliament, not parliament, NSSF. So that what we've been saving before we get to it.
Hopefully, the president will accept to sign midterm access because NSSF is a big resource for running.
But they're not even talking about midterm. That's late term. The people they're talking about are not in their mid.
It's late.
Yes. It's late term access.
Maybe the journalists, the media coined the term midterm because it never existed. It was only at the end of retirement. That's when you'd get money. So now they call it midterm. Okay. To dive into the show today, we are talking about the difference between leading a family and heading a family. And Pastor, I will start with you. How do you understand these two words, leading and heading a family?
Okay. I think we need to get this context right, because I think sometimes where we go wrong is we forget to understand that family is organic in nature, but also is, what do I call it? Not mechanic, because it's mechanic, but it's an institution. Family is an institution that must be recognized legally and also morally. And so the functions of an institution. And so when you talk about leadership and headship, I'm thinking we're talking in terms of, yes, there ought to be somebody who takes decisions or who is held accountable for the decisions made in that family. And then there also ought to be leadership. And so when you talk about leadership and headship, we may differ in definition, but I think there ought to be somebody who is the go-to person in every family. Traditionally, it's the father or the mother, no, not the mother, the father who is second in command is the mother, then the firstborn, and then we go on to the bottom. It's assumed that the lastborns, those ones, unless they've cleared the others. So, but leadership, again, like you said, has to do with who is giving vision and direction. That's my understanding. Okay. And some people talk about leadership, who has the power and who has the influence. I think leadership has to do with who influences, headship has to do with who has the power. Sounds very theoretical, very classical, but I think we need to first get back. Every family needs a leader. Yes, so again, what do we mean by family? Again, the days we live in, there's the, what's the technical term NSS services? There's the immediate family, and for us, immediate family was father, mother, husband, wife, and children, aunties and uncles. But then the English people defined it to mean your husband and wife and children, biological or legal. This, my brother grew up with me, that is not your immediate family. So they will not get insurance, they will not get any benefits attached to them in the whole process. So I think that's why the mix-up now
the begins. Selfish definition.
Yes.
We would say a selfish definition. Headship, for me, when you get to understand head of a family, because the context now becomes religious. Okay? When religion say that the head of a family, that's where we find that word, head of a family. We also find that word from people who do the census. Because when they come to us, they say, who is the head of the household? That's what they tell us. Okay? So, in the way the word head of a family is used, comes with tasks. It's about tasks. And those tasks are about, one, financial responsibility, problem solving, and then giving advice. So somebody who is responsible for those tasks was often referred to as the head of a family. But again, what family are we talking about? Like you have been saying, there's that nuclear one that
you have the right one.
Yeah, the nuclear family, that small one. Okay? And then there's the context of family. You often hear people say, my family. My wife's family. My husband's family. Then what does that mean? What do they mean now?
There has been no assimilation. But there's something I think I want us to clarify, because when you say head of the family has to do with the religious bias, I think it has to do with us defining what is the source or foundation of family. Yes, because again, in the world we live in now, there are many sources these days, all right? So, and I think family has become a battleground. Who defines family? In others, who creates family? And so when we talk about a head of the family, because again, because of the trouble in the world, we have child-headed family, single mother-headed family, we have single father-headed family, then I think no-headed family. Those ones are free to all. They're on the street, okay? Because there are also those families that are formed out of circumstances where you have the ringleader as the head. And so again, you raise an issue where the head, you talked about roles, but I think also has to do with authority, all right? Because even when you talk about head of state, some are saying, does he have the authority? The power. Or he just has the power? There's a difference between authority and power, okay? The one with authority has been voted in, has been sworn in, and people have said this is our person, all right? But the other side to it is that he may have gotten all the vote, all the swearing in, like I think Kibaki is sworn in quickly, so that Odinga doesn't overtake him, all right? And so they've said, and people are funny, we have the president of the people, then the president of the state, confusing things. Exactly. But unfortunately, they've also come in family, where you have the head who is the man, and then the leader who is the woman. So
it gets confusion. Most times when people use the word head of family, it's often attached to a male head. Okay? And that's where the task responsibilities and that's how people understand it. That this head of a family has specific tasks that is expected to do. So that's what makes him head of a family. But there's been a lot of studies going on, especially around this concept, head of a family. Should it be head of a family? Should it be leader of a family? Because like you said, leadership is about guidance. Leadership is about making sure that we mobilize each other and achieve the set goals. That in this case, family value systems. What value systems do we set up? And then you need a leader to make sure that we achieve that. So it's quite depending on who is believing what. But the issue of family power and decision making also now comes in. Like you have been saying, who is the leader? Who is the head? The head, often male with family power and decision making, but again times have changed, okay, and puts everything into rethinking again. And this is a concept that has been researched on very, very low. Head of a family. No one goes out there to do, how do people understand head of a family and leadership of a family?
But to me, I think the confusion has been brought by, I would say, researchers, with all due respect, but there is a hideous agenda, because some things were definitely obvious, all right? And the systems were in place. But we've twisted them. It was obvious, if Joshua dies, somebody will take over. There's a heir, and the duties of the heir are clearly stated, all right? And the way the family functions, if the father or the husband is not there, it's automatic the wife takes over, all right? And taking over as in will lead. Like if we are flying a plane, when the pilot dies, the co-pilot takes over. It's not something that is discussed, all right? It's obvious. Just like it happened in Tanzania, president dead, vice president. Whether she's a woman, whether you voted for her, whether... No, she is the president for the next 4 years. Then she can campaign, not for re-election, but for election. Because for her, they do just open for her. So, but we started confusing fine because of matters of wealth and issues of land. So you find women who have lifted up this family, brought wealth to it, added value to it. Now people begin trying to undermine them, throw them out, so that they can take over what this family has raised. And then there's a question of, that guy was the heir, should now the woman take over? That's why you find people say, my husband's family, my family, my son's family, because we are so divided. But I think we need to get back to say, okay, what is the foundation of family? All right? If God is the foundation of family, then we ought to do business of the family and uphold the institution of family according to the design of God. But you see, I think we are trying to throw out. You had people swearing and they didn't say amen, they said women. Because they feel now, when you say amen, you're over lifting men. When you say a women, you're more educated. And to me, I think that's total, absolute nonsense.
Then we just say amina.
But they're coming for that.
Okay, this
unless
is
you say Amina.
This Amina is a name.
Yes. Yeah. Unless you change Amina to Amina, you're going to have trouble. You wait. I'm not a prophet.
This is the Family Talk Show. It's myself, Hassan Sekajolo, and Pastor Joshua Mugabi. We're discussing this not so much looked at concept of heading a family and leading a family. That's what we're discussing. We want you to find out at the end of the show, are you heading your family? Are you leading your family? More of that is coming into the show. But just before we go for a break, Pastor, what is out there in Ugandan families? Are Ugandan families with heads of families, or Ugandan families have leaders of families?
Wow. Tough question. Of course, people say, what research do you have? I have no research. I just have feelings and observation.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, you find that many of us grew up without our fathers, and we grew with our mothers. Again, because of HIV, because of war, because of abduction and disappearances, things have changed. That now women must rise up to be both heads and leaders. In some families, both the eldest boy must rise up to be that. And so families are going through a challenge, all right? Because some have heads, but no leadership. And I think we talked about that here one time. So we need to get back and say, families need leadership and need a head. Yes. And a leading head, I would say.
For me, when I look at, of course, talking to so many people and the so many trainings that I do, around positive parenting work, my observation, again, it's an observation, has been that many of the Ugandan families, many of the families broadened into Africa, actually have heads of family. However, the trends are changing. With the expansion of the middle class, trends are changing for people to start to understand the value of leadership, just leading the family. I'll not say that the change is massive. No, it's on a very small scale. Because even middle class families have real big issues around managing themselves. Real big issues.
Talk about the Birmingham Palace.
Exactly, exactly. So for me, the change is slow, but it's purposeful. For people to understand, do I choose to be a head of a family, or I choose to lead the family? Because this is a decision we need to make, and later we shall discuss what are the advantages of leading and what are the advantages of heading, but also the other way around. What do you miss if you choose to be a head of a family, and what do you gain if you choose to be a leader of the family? And just on Friday, we had this annual members meeting for the Men Engaged Fraternity, over 60 organizations. We were in this meeting and we had a chance to listen in to research from the AfriChild Center. They're doing a lot of research around family, children, and parenting. So they did this research on the impact of fathers as active and positive and present members of the family. What is the impact? Fathers. Well, the research showed that actually the community, the young children that were interviewed and the wives and the women were actually pointing to head. Because, for example, the children, their understanding of an active father is being able to pay school fees for us. That's how they understand it. That they must be able to pay school fees for us. They must be there to make sure that we have a mattress. So it's about tasks, it's about provision. That's how the children were understanding it. And then the wives, the women were understanding it also differently. Because they say for us, an active, positive and present father is someone who is there all the time at home so that the children see he's around.
Yes.
So you see? So it keeps shifting. Then for me, that pointed out that many of the Ugandan families just have heads of family.
Yeah.
They have heads of families. In that research, the women who are doing the things the children thought are supposed to be done by the father, the children call them fathers.
Okay.
So the research brought a concept of women fathers.
Okay.
Because the children saw them as the ones doing the things they think a father should do. So they were calling them, that is our father.
Picking coffee berries.
Yes, that is our father.
Fetching water.
Yes.
Okay.
So widely out there, Ugandan families have heads of family.
Yeah.
Just heads of families. When we talk about whether they are present or what, that's another matter.
Yeah.
But they just have heads of families. And today we are discussing head or lead. What works for us? What is good to make sure that we're building family value systems? Because if we don't have family value systems, we get problems at the top.
Yeah.
This country and the whole world is suffering from dishonesty.
Yeah.
And where do we build dishonesty from? We build honesty from home.
Beautiful.
And it's the value systems at home that build the honesty. Today, you can't employ people and you make big profit.
You can't employ your own family and be profitable.
You see?
Yes.
Because people are dishonest.
Yeah.
They will steal from you, they will do that, they will manipulate this, manipulate that.
Let's do a break, I believe.
We just have to go into a break, and when we come back from the break, we're going to discuss which is which, what is good, leading or heading a family. We'll be right back.
I've been in Uganda for very many years, and I believe Uganda is the place anybody should aspire to live in. We have good weather, we have abundance of food, we have abundance of employment as long as you look out for the right things. But Uganda has been hit in recent times with a stigma of greed, and it shows in everything that we read in the newspapers. It shows on television. It shows even when you're sitting down with people just trying to make ends meet. Everybody wants to bite off a piece that's bigger than what they deserve. That is Uganda's major problem in my eyes. If only we could curb the greed, if only we could share out that pie equally and of course responsibly, then we will be the best country on the planet. In the next 5 years, I really wish and hope that Ugandans can look at the bigger picture, can look at Uganda as a country, can look at their neighbors, their friends, and see that everybody needs equal opportunity. Because in the next 5 years, I don't want people to be calling me up saying, please, can you find me a job? I want people to be calling me up and saying, would you like to come and work with me? That is what I'd like to see. In the next 50 years, I don't want to see my child suffering. I want to see him prosperous. I want to see him with a good wife, with children, with a family of his own, living the dream. That's what I would like to see in Uganda. That's my honest opinion. And I'm Mark Kaheru, I'm Ugandan. What do you say?
Welcome back from the break. This is the Family Talk Show. Welcome back from the break. This is the Family Talk Show on House of Talent Television. House of Talent Uganda on Facebook. You can find us there. Like the page and watch all our programming. The Family Talk Show comes to you live from our studios on Plot 45 Bukoto Street, where we are right now giving you the discussion on today's topic, the difference between leading a family and heading a family, which way to go for building family value systems. That's our discussion today. And just before the break, we were talking about what is out there, what is the common practice in Uganda. Thank you for those who are following us on our Facebook page. Jemima Okwi, you are watching in from Buwate. Eddie Okila is watching in from holiday. Enjoy the holiday and have the best of it. And don't come back here and say you really did not have a holiday. Make sure you come back with good stories from the holiday, Eddie Okila. Pastor,
yeah.
What are the advantages for leading a family?
Yeah.
And what are the disadvantages?
Okay. Like I said in the beginning, the family is both organic but also institutional. Yes, organic organization. I think organization is better. So you can have headship because yes, it's natural, it's definite, people look up to you, and yeah, you're there, but taking people nowhere. But for every organization to win, it must have direction.
Yeah.
And I think leadership is defined by Maxwell as influence. Another guy that helped me understand leadership more, he said, leadership is a discipline of exerting special influence within a group to lead it towards goals of beneficial permanence. And so there is a degree to which you exert influence. And cause people to move towards goals that benefit them together, and those benefits or the result of that benefits all of them. And so that's why I would think when there is leadership, the question of who pays school fees, where do we stay, do we have rent, do we have food, do we have clothing, are we happy together, and naturally met. Because the leader, whoever occupies that position, is thinking and driving us towards that. We raise children not like we raise puppies, because I know some puppies are trained, some puppies are not trained. But a trained dog has more benefits than a naturally growing puppy. They could be the same breed, German Shepherds. So the trained German Shepherd will bring memory. So we want our family to harness the resources to make sure we get where we want to go. Where there's leadership, there's no question of whose money are we using. All the money is ours to bring us to the point of where we need to be, so that we can grow. We make sure that our land titles are in our names, our catalog books are in our names, so that nothing can go wrong. The children have the right names, they know who they are connected to. I think that is what leadership is about. But headship can simply be functional. You have no influence, things happen. Maybe only left to say, okay, these are the clan names from which you choose. This is where we bury, and this is how we recite our clan recital.
Slogan.
Yes. So, but you want your family to go beyond that. What language, what practices, what values, what kind. And I know in the past there used to be the question of mwana wani, whose child, because we're saying where there's proper headship and leadership, that family is definitely going to be humane, I would say. Yeah.
For me, the issue of leadership, I think, brings in an element of teamwork.
Yeah.
When you choose to lead a family,
yeah,
it will bring in teamwork. One of the problems we are suffering, and we've said it before on the show,
yeah,
raising children who are not team members.
Yeah.
They're siblings,
yeah,
but not team members.
Yeah.
That affects the progress of the family.
Yeah.
Because everybody will think that they have to work out things on their own.
Yeah.
Then they end up doing small projects, thinking they're moving forward.
Yeah.
But their progress is too small because they're isolated.
Yes.
But when we do leadership in a family,
yeah,
we're bringing everybody together to participate together,
yeah,
to be able to rise together.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what I see as a very, very strong component of choosing to lead a family.
Yeah.
Like you said, everything is for all of us.
Yeah.
Everybody gains personal responsibility of everything that is within the family.
Yeah.
But there are also disadvantages of leadership, especially when you have dominant characters. The dominant characters in leadership will usurp everything by themselves.
Yeah.
So I think care needs to be taken to identify the dominant characters and to ensure that they don't override others. Otherwise, you get problems.
Yes.
That's, for me, that's one of the side effects for leadership.
Yeah.
Is that the dominant people will assume and take over, and other people will think that if we don't hear from him, we don't have the prerogative to make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're tickling my mind. Sometimes, again, the challenges come in because, like I need to say this, that where there's leadership, the roles must be clearly defined. All right? The boundaries must also be clearly
defined,
set. Yeah. So that you are not a leader because you are the chief financial of what is happening there. Okay? You are not the leader because you have the greatest age. Okay? You're not the leader because you're most highly educated. But again, you are the leader because you are influencing in the right direction. And by the way, you can be a leader without having a position. And I think that's something you should be ready for. You're not aspiring for the position. You want to be able to say, okay, as a family, this is where we need to go. Let the head lead. So that's why, again, to resolve that, it was clear right from the beginning, let the man be the head. Okay? It doesn't necessarily mean he has all the money, he has all the power, he has all the decisions. No, but for purposes of saying, when we've decided whose word will we take to hold this family accountable, the head of the family will be held accountable. Should we count the people? Should we name the people? Should we accept? Should we expel? The head has that function, but doesn't mean he has everything. All right. So I think if we can clarify that, it will help. The head
is just a point of contact.
Yes, and plays a function that will allow leadership to flourish. Yeah. To me, that's my view.
The argument has also been that when we say head of a family is a man, are we saying that all the tasks and the responsibilities that come with that position and the authority that comes with that position cannot be held by women? And indeed, women have gone ahead to disprove us.
So, and I think that's where the challenge or the problem lies. To me, I think, of course, in Uganda especially, we are fully spoiled to think that leadership is falling into things so that you can eat. Okay? You become a heir, you think that now gives you right to sell
everything,
all the land. That's not what we are talking about. All right? We're talking about the representative voice that says, this family has agreed, okay, that this and this is going to happen. All right? This is like when I sign checks, it doesn't mean I own all the money in my institution. No, it means that I have been given the permission to release that money on behalf of the institution. And so if we can understand that, it will help. So even when major decisions are made in a family, all right, how do we name the children? All right? It's not that the father has said or the grandfather has said, it's what we've agreed to, because a child needs a name for purposes of identity. So You don't just say, me, I want my son to be called Nalurunji, okay, because I have the money, I'm the one who went to the labor ward. No, that will only cause more confusion. So let there be proper headship to represent the institution, all right? It's key. But the process of how decisions are reached upon should be a process that involves everybody. Yeah.
And that's what leadership is about.
Yeah.
In like you say, in the instances of headship,
yeah,
people assume authority and control by themselves.
Yeah.
Because
no, that's wrong.
Yeah, because they say, I am the head.
Yes.
I have all the power. I have all the decision making.
No.
So I decide.
No.
You see?
You have the responsibility. And again, that's why, again, in the Christian faith, it says, the greatest among you shall be the servant, not the commandant, but the one who serves the most. You listen to the needs of the people, you understand what they desire, and you make sure that what they need is addressed. That's true leadership. That's true headship. The head does not take you to a fire. All right? Although it's the feet that will draw you there. But the head takes a decision and says, you know what? That direction we're going to get destroyed. There's an escape route here. There is a need to back up. And so it issues a command to the feet and they turn round. Yeah.
Just before the break, we were talking about how ownership of property, especially for heirs, twists and turns the whole notion of head of a family.
Yeah.
Because in this instance, if it is a heir, the heir assumes head of what family now? You see? It means there are lots of people that you are responsible for.
Yes.
And you're more like a trustee. For me, the concept of heir is more of a trustee.
Yes.
And if it is more of a trustee, then that's why some families now, you find that they say, all my children are my heir.
Yeah.
Some people are doing that.
Yes.
That all of them will be heirs.
Yes.
It's upon them to choose who will lead.
But there's also a weakness there in terms of then the more crafty of the child will take over.
Yes, yes.
All right? That lack of clarity sometimes opens room for wrangles. That's why you find so-and-so has died, then the wife is suddenly hiding land titles and the rest and shutting down things. And so you get buried, but there's also shame in the house. That's why, again, legally, we encourage, write a will so that there's clear leadership.
Pastor, I write the will and
that
say
all my children
yes,
are, that
I name them by name and say all of these.
We have, okay, again, the institution things, if there are 7 heads, that's a beast. And the book of Revelation tells us beasts are rising with the head of a horse, the head of one. You don't want your family to become that disconfigured. It ought to be clear. Like again, when you're going to war, you don't want a spear that has 3 heads. It won't kill anything. You won't go where but the more pointed, the sharper. That's why they even talk about laser-guided missiles, because they hit the point. And the point is, for our families, we want to continue successfully. All right? Our resources are working for the good of the family, not for an individual. So that's why we are saying that it should be clear who is the head, who casts the tiebreaker. Okay, because sometimes even the fights are not that so and so is wrong and this one is wrong. There are times when both of you are right. Which right are you taking? And that's why we're asking people, where is the better right? Because we may have our rights, but where is the right that is more beneficial to both of us? And we say, I'm the man. And I usually tell guys, by the time you are saying I am the man, it usually means that you've been undermined and many things have gone. So you need to remind people, I'm the man. No, your place as a man should be self-explained. You don't have to say, I'm the man. I'm the one to take the decision. That means you lost it already, because who's telling you a woman?
So there's a comment here online, and it is, if the man cannot lead us, and the woman steps in to lead, and the man that cannot accept that, then what happens?
Well, there's going to be division, there's going to be opposition and government, and you see what happens when there's, you need tear gas in that family, you need all these other things, mobile prisons, and that's what happens. But again, we are saying, how do we get to a place of making decisions? It's not me against my husband. It's me with my husband, we're making progress. It's not me against my children. It's me and the children, we are making progress. And we must do that. Don't hurry to get there, because we have, again, different leadership styles. We have different character traits. There are some people who say, I am fast, but they will crash in Mulago before they go any further. There are those who seem to be slow, and yeah, definitely they are slow. But true leadership challenges us to be able to make decisions at the right time and to get the right resources towards that decision. So if your wife is more knowledgeable, it's not wrong for her to say, okay, my husband, let's make a decision in this. You've sat down, you've agreed, and it's okay.
Can you have a head and a leader in the same family unit?
Yeah, you can.
So the woman can be head and the man can be the leader?
I think it's usually the man is the head, because we said it's a function, and the wife can be the leader. Yeah.
So
and again, the leadership and headship is not about power.
Because that's where the real problem is.
Yes. No, we're not talking about who has the power. And again, the moment you are fighting for power, there's a bigger problem than who is the head. That's when you start jumping over fences to establish your headship or your leadership. And
there are comments for you here, Pastor. Ken Jemba is saying, I love Pastor Joshua. Ntinda days.
That's in the past. Yes.
Ntinda days, and he says, this is a very good show. Many of us just start families without understanding it. So those are the comments coming. And then what happens when a man flees his home? Because the woman is lead investigator and the man is the head.
Well, what happens, of course, leadership usually does not provide for a vacuum. Either the woman will take over leadership, the government, and or the children, or whatever. So, but why should a man be fleeing? Why should a man be fleeing?
That many reasons. I work with men. There are many reasons why men flee.
We should not be fleeing. Again, it's a power thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, behind that fleeing, sometimes we've not dealt with the things that we need to deal with. All right? The man wants to come back home anytime. Don't call me. Don't ask me, where have you been? Because I am the man. No. Leaders must be accountable. Give accountability. And you don't want to do things that will bring harm and bring disrepute to you and to your family. So resolve your problems. Fleeing does not resolve the problem.
Absolutely.
All right? Fighting your wife does not resolve the problem. And disowning her and divorcing her does not solve the family problem.
Even beating her up solves nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you raise an important point of power, men and power. One of the reasons men flee is because they're not used to be second. They're not raised to be second. Now, when they see that the woman is an active leader, because also in leaders we have differences. When the woman is an active leader, because the man is not used, is not trained, has not been groomed to be second. That is one of the reasons they flee. Because they want to assume, and they assume they're entitled to power.
But let me give an illustration here that I think will help us, because we get challenges, or we get challenged power-wise every day in different places, and some we've accepted and we've not allowed them to disturb us. Just like if you're driving on the road, which many men like to drive, there are those who will challenge you by virtue of the size of the car they drive. All right. Sometimes you are on the highway and your car has reached its limit, but your neighbor's car
is just starting.
Is just starting. All right. There's a place where say, well, I will give them way to, so that they fly to where they're supposed to fly. But I must keep mine in control. So traffic jam, sometimes you say, okay, which is the best way to take? You press through. You are challenged to make a decision. So if you have the awesome privilege of having a powerful wife, sharp, brain-wise, powerful, money-wise, eloquent, talks, and unfortunately, by the way, it's God who has mixed us up. Usually, silent men have loud women, and loud men have silent women. I don't know, but maybe God was trying to bring a balance in families. We are different. So you want to ask yourself, how does the character of my wife challenge me to go higher? To be better and faster in making my decisions. At least to me, that's what I resolve to do, okay? If I'm finding a challenge, I'm not looking for escape, but how does that propel me? That's why I even tell men—
positive energy.
Yes. If your wife is not satisfied by quick explanations, prepare a memo, all right? Write out your defense, all right? Because when we are going to the bank to ask for money, we write proposals. So when it comes to asking for family finances, and usually it's a lot of money, why isn't there a written proposal? Because you are not quick, like your wife in explaining. No, learn, say, wife, here is my presentation, and let's talk it through. So don't allow the pressure from your wife to evict you. Let the pressure from your wife elevate you.
It is something that men need to be taught to understand, because the way they are raised, they are not taught that. So it's a continuous and conscious effort to try and educate the men to understand, how do I react where my wife, my spouse, my living partner is much better than me in some aspects? Do I resort to an inferiority complex and begin fighting back? Or I turn that, like you say, in a positive way and try to see, how do I make myself better and learn from my partner and be much better? So we are discussing now, Pastor. From the discussion, it points to the fact that leading a family has greater advantages. But now, if I am heading a family, how do I move from heading it to leading
it? So one of the things you've said, let's learn. Let's learn. And I think the reason, like the way Sandy explained the family, he said the proper family has grandfathers, fathers, then children. All right? I should say grandfather, grandmother, grandfather, mother. We have people that we can learn to. And unfortunately, sometimes we fear to ask for counsel because we think when you're asking for counsel, you fail. But yet I think there's safety in counsel. We read books, we watch movies, all right, which are not Nigerian movies, because those only enhance witchcraft, but I'm sure there's also great Nigerian movies, okay? We talk to our peers, and we do, we sit down and learn from others and say, okay, and also learning to listen. Listen, listen, listen. It's not that you should always be the one talking. Listen. Listen to your children, listen to your wife, listen to your peers, listen to your elders. All right? Listen to wholesome content. So I think that will help. Right now we have the advantage of WhatsApp and the rest. How I wish we could be intentional in what messages we get. Because unfortunately, many men unfortunately only go out for pornography.
Yeah, yeah.
And pornography does not make your life better. It destroys you. And what we have on WhatsApp, unfortunately, sometimes is rumor talk here and there. Did the doctor get a proper vaccine or whichever? But let's ask ourselves, what have I learned? How do I affirm my wife? How do I bless her? How do I listen? How do I avoid being thrown into exile?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I become more accountable? How do I pick conversation with my teenager children? How do I change diapers? Of course, when men begin to do that, I don't know whether you remain with work.
I'll still have work.
Yes.
I'll still have work to continue to model a proper equal relationship.
Yes.
Because men will just have learned. So modeling that relationship to be mutually equal will still be my work.
Yes.
But right now, I have to start to say, you can do this work.
Yeah.
Because doing domestic work, and this is something men confuse, I don't know, it's society that has confused it. Doing domestic work is not something that is a burden.
Yes.
Doing domestic work is actually learning a skill.
You know, sometimes I tease people and say, I'm here in the kitchen making love, and they say, what? I say, yeah, I'm making love with soap and water and a sponge, cleaning the dishes. And they say, you are foolish. No, but you see, but you see, it doesn't take away my manhood. Doesn't no, but it's in fact is accelerating my involvement in the work. That's why women were saying we want men around, so that their children learn to be responsible. That after eating, you clear the plate. All right. When you are home, you don't look at the television on soaps that do not
enhance family bonding.
Family bonding. So do the right thing. I clean my shoes. I put them where they ought to be. We sit and talk. There's this WhatsApp that was going. This child brought a report to his father, and they were poor grades, beating, and so he ended up beating the child. How can you bring me such a report? But the story goes that the child said, you know what, I am sorry, but when mommy was clearing out things, I found this report, and it is your report when you're in P4. What a shame.
And for you have been beating up your own child for poor grades.
Yes, but after even saying, no, for me, I never did poorly in school. No, let's talk through our lives. That when I was growing up, I lived in a home which was all stars.
Yes.
All right, you sit in the night and you see many stars. People want to go to 5-star hotels. May grow up in a home with many stars.
Many stars.
You see them live.
100-star home.
And never allow it to rain at night. Because if it rains at night, you must bring a basin, put it over your, your head. But those stories help our children to be better. And also they remind us, because some of us now, guys, we drive 4-wheel drives and the rest. We've made lots of money, all right? We are powerful. People bow down as we go past. But friends, that's not where we were. And thank God we've reached there. Yet, unfortunately also, through tax changes, we could go back to where we came from. But develop that inner you that has a capacity. Whether you've lost it, you can rebuild. Let's not fight over things. Let's not fight over power.
Also, in addition, to move from head of a family to leader of a family will take a lot of consultation. You said listening and working together, consultation. This notion that men are decision makers is trouble. Is trouble for men, because they tend not to consult, because they think they have the power and the authority to make the decisions.
But you see, decision making is not necessarily just making any decision.
Exactly. People don't understand, how do I make decisions? That is
the right decision.
Exactly. How do I make right decision? It's through consultation. So we need to, if you're just a head of a household and you want to understand, how do I become a head who leads, if I can use the acronym. How do I become a head who leads my family? then you really have to factor in consultation. You have to factor in listening to people. You have to factor in making sure that everybody is comfortable with the decision that is about to be made.
Yeah. You know, you also challenging me to say this. First of all, keep tuning into family whatever program that you're on right now. But also one of the things I want us to start doing, and I know some of you guys are doing so well, and we want you to take that wellness and have the courage to go to Joshua and say, you know what, here is an area you can shine, and be their coach, be a mentor, help a young man, even an old man, say, you know what, you don't have to go into exile, but you can change the atmosphere in your home by doing A, B, C, and D, telling your story, and this is how I changed my story, and that will help you. So every man needs to connect to another man who is flourishing, but every man, where you are, you need to take hold of another man and say, guy, you're a fellow man, let's not go down the ditch, let's move on.
I just saw a story that came out last week. It was in the Monitor newspaper. And the title was really sad. And I did tweet that and said it's a sad day for Uganda. 200 fathers make their daughters pregnant. That story for me was real sadness. So we need to, the positive men out there, like Pastor is saying, we need to pick on another man and try to model them into acceptable men. Because some of us men do things that are unacceptable. And you just can't be called a man. Sometimes I feel ashamed to be a man because of what other people who are like me in terms of sex are doing. It becomes very ashamed that somebody is doing something and you are in the same group as that person. So we need to pick ourselves up. We need to increase the level of talking things that benefit us to become better fathers, things that make us better men, things that make us better husbands. Because also the concept of being a husband is quite misunderstood by many people. So this is out there for you. As we wind up this show today, we are saying that consult, 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 listen, 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 and that will make you a leader in your family. Leaders make sure that everybody is participating and everybody is comfortable with what is going on. That's how people have ownership for the decisions that are made and can defend you to the last nail. Yes, Pastor. Your parting shots?
Well, we said that families need to have clear headship. The head needs to function and give great leadership, and there are qualities of great leaders, there are principles of leadership that need to be practiced, not just for the banking institutions and whatever places. They must be practiced at home. Like I said, family is both organic and organizational. So we must pay attention to the organizational needs of our families. And my last word is to fellow men. Guys, let us learn to be vulnerable. Let us allow ourselves to say, what you don't know, you don't know. I know Kapo says, what you know, you know. All right? Yes, what you know, you need to know, but what you don't know,
you don't know.
You don't know, but aspire to learn. And sometimes the teacher, the best teacher that you have is your immediate family. Your children, your wife, and your in-laws also.
Exactly. Exactly. As we end this show today, a big shout out to the women who are wonderful leaders. Women, I always say women have always been wonderful leaders in the family. And people say, I'm trying to bring down men. But when you go through the concept of leadership, women have actually been wonderful leaders. So a lot of men need to learn how to be heads who lead. Okay? Because we're still dealing with this issue of men are the heads of the family. Okay? So how do we work within that and transform this headship? How do we transform the headship and then we get heads who lead? That way we're building stronger families. That way we're building strong family value systems that will turn around this world from a low-income country.
Whatever that is.
Magufuli made Tanzania middle income.
Middle income.
Yes.
We are so grateful for that. But again, even in the USA, who are first world, you still find guys who are more broke than Ugandans.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
They don't have access to jackfruit. They don't have access to pawpaws. They don't have access to sugar cane. So sometimes ask who is the poor one. Ask who have sugar cane and jackfruit, or the ones who have to buy pills that they call sugar. I don't know, but you are the man with more knowledge.
Comparative advantage. Thank you very much. It's been me, Hassan Sekajolo, and Pastor Joshua Mugabi. We have been discussing the difference between leading and heading a family. And the discussion, winding up the discussion, we are saying that we need heads who lead. We need heads who lead. It's incumbent upon you, like Pastor has said, to learn leadership values, to learn what leadership is all about, such that as the head of a family, you are a leader. And thanks to all those women who have provided leadership in the families for many, many years, but the men have not noticed that the leadership is actually coming from the women. So for us as men, we need to learn to be heads who lead. And when we do that, we're moving towards mutually beneficial family relationships and building stronger family value systems. Until next week, we'll be back here with yet another topic about family issues. Me, myself, Hassan, Pastor Joshua Mugabi, and Eddie, who is out there on a family mission.
Yep.
Sometimes you need time out.
Not sometimes. Regularly.
Eddie said
every month.
He learned from the show last week.
Okay.
Love needs to be celebrated.
Yes.
That is why he went.
Very good.
That is why he went off after last week's show that looked at love needs to be celebrated and love demands to be celebrated. So Eddie is celebrating. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to This Week. Our speaker is Carlos Bellemans from Rotterdam, the Netherlands.
Hi, good to meet you. I'm Carlo Bellemans, founder and creative heart of Soundtrip Tribe. I have been working as a professional musician since 1984. I'm a conductor, composer and professor conducting at Codarts University of the Arts in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Above all, I'm an adventurer. During my adventures, I meet people with fantastic ideas. I want to work with people who are positive and work on what they want to do. In the end, I have learned the most from people who have the ability to follow their own path. My dream is to overcome obstacles with these people. And that is what Soundtrip Tribe stands for. In 2019, we won a national award for the most innovative stage performance of the year. The award was presented by the Dutch Minister of Culture.
In 2014, Carlo founded Soundtrip Tribe, wanting to create music with people who can inspire him to push his boundaries and their own. He staged his first Soundtrip XXL, an enormous improvised concert that was a huge success. 150 musicians, improvising and classically trained, amateurs and professionals of all generations, DJs and dancers in a 90-minute performance. This led to inspiring collaborations with the Dutch Wind Ensemble and the Arnhem Philharmonic Orchestra. Carlo's first encounter with Uganda was in 2004, working with the brass bands of Father Wijnandhuis and training the local brass band leaders. In 2018, he created a performance during the Dowa Dowa East African Performing Arts Market with local musicians, an amazing group of singing girls, the Kampala Symphony Orchestra, and the Soundtrip Tribe musicians. They built most of this team by spontaneously joining jam sessions at the National Theatre. In 2019, Carlo went on a world trip through Australia, Asia, New York, and South America. He started looking for positive, adventurous musicians, and this journey laid the foundation for a large international and diverse network.
Everything starts with conviction. We design a new route for every good idea. We start with an empty sheet of paper. What are we going to do? How are we going to get there? And who do we need? So, design thinking is very important. We start at the top of the mountain. We try to start with the ultimate version of our idea. We invest in that. Sometimes supported by government funding, often from our own resources. After that, opportunities will come. And sometimes they don't. But stay optimistic, don't give up. Be honest to the world and to yourself, and do it again and again and again. The slogan of Soundtrip Tribe is meet, inspire and celebrate. It's more than just a slogan. For me, it's a way of life. Meeting people is fun. Meeting interesting people is even more fun. And making beautiful things with challenging people is the best. To inspire is challenging. Being inspired is even more challenging. The balance between these is the ultimate challenge. Celebrating small successes makes you happy. Celebrating many small successes in a row makes you even happier. A final product that you enjoy with your entire squad is the ultimate celebration. Ultimately, you create a lot of energy and commitment with a positive work attitude. You radiate that. There is no better business model. Everyone wants to be a part of that.
Wind orchestras belong to the Netherlands in the same way that tulips and windmills do. The first orchestra was founded in 1775, and at the moment, wind music is the most practiced sport after football. Society in 2021 is more international than ever before. More than 170 nationalities live in cities like Rotterdam. There is an infinite source of information and inspiration. With Soundtrip Tribe, we work on connections between musical traditions. Think of linking auditory traditions to score reading music traditions and connecting the language of young people with that of older generations. It's not about what is right or wrong. Curiosity about each other is what makes the difference. Carlo composed Connect Please for Erik Vloeimans, one of Europe's greatest improvising trumpet players. In this performance, Carlo combines a Balkan group with a classical boys choir and a fanfare orchestra. Erik Vloeimans is the improvising free bird on trumpet.
Traditionally, wind music is inextricably linked to religion. Most villages and towns used to have a Catholic part and a Protestant part. The Catholics had a harmony orchestra, the Protestants a fanfare. In English, fanfare, but it's a typical Dutch word, so we call it fanfare. A harmony orchestra uses wooden wind instruments. The fanfare focuses on brass instruments. The competition between these orchestras is such a huge part of our history that in 1958 Bert Haanstra made a film about this fraternal musical struggle.
Wat gebeurt er nou?
The fanfare orchestra only exists in the Netherlands and the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. In Belgium, this orchestral form is officially recognized as cultural heritage. This process has been initiated in the Netherlands, but has not yet been completed. Today, religion plays a much smaller role. The orchestras are deeply rooted in their community. Despite the Dutch climate, we often play in open-air concerts. The best orchestras are also part of the programming in theaters. These orchestras form a lifeline for the supply of professional musicians for the top symphony orchestras in the Netherlands and abroad.
Soundtrip Tribe is always looking for positive people with a drive. We are good at doing. We facilitate options both artistically and in terms of performance. We are not an agency. We challenge, we have a broad network, and we provide perspective. Ultimately, it is your own responsibility what you do with those elements. With the Soundtrip World Award, we give artists a helping hand, both financially and in terms of exposure. For example, in 2018, we met Davies Ndambazi in Kampala during the Doa Doa East African Performing Arts Market. In 2019, he was the third prize winner of our award. In addition to the prize money he used to improve his YouTube channel, the orchestra accompanied his video during a performance in Zwolle, in the Netherlands. 800 people in the theater and near 1,000 people via the live stream saw his performance. Davies used the live stream images to make a Facebook clip of his performance. He had more than 10,000 hits in 2 days. This is exactly how we view our role. We facilitate opportunities, and the artists put themselves in the spotlight.
stage is all yours.
Thank you.
Win for you. Absolute yes from me. I want to see that again.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, and I can't wait to see you again.
I'm also going to give you my yes. Well done.
We were delighted to see that he was successful in East Africa's Got Talent, and we are loyal followers of his YouTube channel, Davy's Violinist. In the same performance, we bridged the gap between folk music from Ukraine and Belarus and the traditional Dutch fanfare. This interactive sound symphony received the KNMO Award 2019 for the most innovative stage performance in the Netherlands. This is what we do, making use of what is already there, building bridges between music cultures and motivating artists to show the world all they got. See your opportunities and grab them.
My biggest dream is that we are curious about each other's wisdom without seeing our own as truth, but simply as a contribution. When I translate this to music, what skills do you need to be a mediator between different music backgrounds and different generations? What skills do you need to blend tradition with 21st century possibilities? I developed musical leadership, mastering universal communication. This course solves the pain point of communication between different styles of music by improving the balance between intuitive and technical musical craftsmanship. You learn to distinguish essentials from minor issues. This course has an active Q&A section